I can't believe 2024 is coming to an end, guys. And what a year has it been for tech, especially laptops. We've seen fierce competition among Intel, AMD, Apple, and we even have a new contender, Qualcomm. Their debut didn't quite live up to the hype. So I'll break this down into two categories: productivity-focused laptops and gaming laptops. Though it is important to note that some productivity laptops can handle gaming as well. It ultimately comes down to finding what suits your lifestyle. Plus, we've got some amazing guests chiming in with their picks to spice things up. Before we jump in, let's be real here for a sec. Shopping for a brand new laptop right now can be really overwhelming. And sometimes it can be a bit of a headache because there's so many options from so many manufacturers. It's easy to get lost in all the tech talk and specs. So let me break down what happened this year to make things a little bit easier. 2024 kicked off with Intel's Meteor Lake processors, also known as the 100 series, built on their 7nm process. These chips delivered impressive battery life improvements and found their way into a mix of thin and light and gaming laptops thanks to their scalable power levels. Now, on the AMD side, we saw the 8040 series, which was essentially the 7000 series with some AI features sprinkled in. And to be honest, there wasn't much of a performance jump between those two generations. For high-performance laptops, Intel's Raptor Lake HX series dominated the gaming space, while AMD pushed their Ryzen HS series into similar high-end devices. And remember, we still haven't heard anything from NVIDIA yet. Still no GPUs on both the desktop and laptop segments. Fast forward to July, and Qualcomm makes their debut in the laptop space with the X series processors. My expectations were really high, especially since these chips were ARM-based, but they were expensive, like really expensive, and the overall experience felt a bit underwhelming. And then we had AMD. They shook things up with the launch of Strix Point, built on their new Zen 5 architecture. It was a game changer for thin and light laptops, delivering impressive performance gains in both CPU and GPU tasks while consuming very less power. I think this was hands down the best move from AMD this year, despite their baffling naming strategy. I mean, seriously, does every SKU need AI slapped on it? Meanwhile, if we look at Team Blue, they've actually had a pretty rough year. They've been dealing with a lot of quality control issues on their desktop platforms, but amidst the chaos, they rolled out Lunar Lake, which was a fundamentally different design from their previous chips. It featured a massive GPU upgrade that brought in really good gaming performance and excellent, and I mean really excellent power efficiency, but at the cost of SMT or hyper-threading. It was controversial, but honestly, I would take the slight performance trade-off for better battery life any day on a thin and light laptop. And then just last month, Apple dropped their M4 processors for the MacBook Pros, and yeah, it's probably the most exciting upgrade since the M1 announcement. Massive performance gains, significantly better battery life. It's another home run for Apple. So that's a quick recap of 2024. I've included links to all the laptops that are going to be mentioned in this video, along with their respective performance reviews in the description. Just keep in mind that I've only focused on the laptops that we've tested here on the channel. There are plenty of other great devices out there, so feel free to check out what other creators have to say. So the best productivity-focused laptop goes to the Lenovo Yoga Pro 7 and Slim 7 series. This lineup arguably offers the best value for your money, with options for Intel's Lunar Lake and AMD Strix Point processors. They're also built exceptionally well. It's a 15-inch laptop, so be aware of that footprint, but it only weighs about 3.2 to 3.5 pounds based on the configurations, and they're only 0.6 inches or 15 millimeters thick. The 2.8K OLED and LCD displays are beautiful, color accurate, and bright with high refresh rates. Though the glossy screen can be a bit distracting, you also get a lot of ports, including a full-size HDMI and a full-size USB Type-A ports. Battery life is superb on these devices. We got close to 11 hours on the Ryzen model and 15 hours on the Intel version, but keep note that the Pro 7 with AMD comes with a smaller battery than the Slim 7i. If performance is what you're after, get the Ryzen AI9 365 spec, but if runtime is what you need, the Ultra 7 256V is a sweet option, and I've seen it go for as low as $999 with 16 gigs of RAM, 1TB SSD, and Lenovo's customer support is known to be very reliable. The other choice is the MacBook Air with the M3 chip. This is still a solid choice in 2024, and now the base model finally finally comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM. It's a great laptop for school. It's built incredibly well, it's super thin at just 0.42 inches, and it features a really gorgeous 15-inch display, one of the best and brightest for a thin-and-light laptop. Battery life is excellent at 15 hours, even better than the 13-inch Air, plus the larger chassis allows for improved passive cooling, giving it a performance edge over the 13-inch model. But if budget isn't an issue, Apple's MacBook Pro with the M4 Pro or Max chips is a no-brainer. These laptops deliver consistent performance even on battery, and the gains over M1 are substantial. Battery life has also seen a significant boost. For pro photographers, content creators, developers, or 3D artists, these machines are fantastic investments. The high-resolution display with color-accurate representation is a standout feature, and with the new nano texture option, it reduces reflections for a more immersive viewing experience. It's seriously a game changer for laptops, and I hope other manufacturers adapt this technology. The speakers are the best you'll find on any laptop, and when you combine that with a good keyboard and trackpad, you get an exceptional computing experience. The only thing to look out for is the fans do tend to spin up under heavy loads, and coming from my M1 Pro laptop, that certainly caught me off guard, but rest aside, it's a great option. Now, the best value-focused laptop goes to the Asus VivoBook S14. This thing packs incredible value into a sleek package. It features a fantastic display, really insane battery life, and it's the best we've ever tested, and a versatile port selection with 2 USB-C and 2 USB-A ports, unlike many laptops that skimp on Type A. And best of all, it's actually available to buy, and on a good sale day, you can snag this for as low as $650, making it a practical and budget-friendly choice. Okay, I want to spice things up with a fun segment. Remember when you were a kid at the science fair and no matter what, you'd walk away with a little something? A participation award. Well, this year's participation award goes to the Qualcomm X Series laptops. And look, I've got to give credit to Qualcomm for the R&D behind this platform. It's a brilliant idea, and we love seeing more competition in the space. We've tested some of the best models from HP, Asus, and Lenovo, and a few things stood out. Battery life was excellent, sleep-wake functionality was instantaneous and lightning fast, and opening windows felt a lot snappier compared to Intel and AMD. But the overall experience was underwhelming. App compatibility was a big problem, and the gaming experience was pretty awful. Many apps had to run through emulation, which really hurt performance. The hardware on some of the laptops felt cheap and didn't deserve the asking price. And to top it off, Microsoft's Copilot plus PC Wave just flopped, adding to the overall disappointment. So Qualcomm, thanks for participating, and I hope you address these issues for your next-gen designs. Speaking of designs, we have something really cool from today's video sponsor.
To achieve perfection, sometimes you have to change the game. That means finding something that embodies modern design with a refined, minimalistic aesthetic that can easily be adapted to reflect your environment. Sculpted with precision-crafted weights for enhanced stability and style, whether you seek the perfect typing rhythm, a unique tactile feel, or unobstructed functionality, Drop's CST M80 is a TKL marvel that's sleek and bold, designed to dominate your workspace. Check it out down below.
Alright, so let's shift gears to the gaming side, starting with the best portable gaming laptop. This one is the Asus TUF A14 with the updated Ryzen Strix Point CPU and an RTX 4060 laptop GPU with 100 watts of TGP. This laptop features an understated design. It's not the most premium build, but for under $1,400, it is an incredible value. It's super portable at 1.46 kilos or 3.2 pounds, and it's 0.78 inches thin, only slightly bulkier than the G14, but honestly, it's barely noticeable. It has one of the best keyboard and trackpad combinations on the market, a bright 165Hz display, tons of ports, and excellent battery life. Performance-wise, we saw almost a 35% boost in multi-core performance compared to the 8845HS version, making it a great option for gaming and multitasking. The only downside is the fan noise can get really loud under heavy workloads. Also, these laptops can be really hard to find, so if you spot one on sale, don't hesitate. The best 16-inch gaming laptop goes to the ROG Zephyrus G60. It is easily one of my favorite gaming laptops of the year and arguably one of the best looking thin and light options for gaming. It has excellent build quality at just 0.69 inches thin without compromising on ports. The keyboard and trackpad are top-notch, and the front-facing speakers deliver incredible sound. The 240Hz OLED display is bright, color accurate, and an absolute joy for gaming. You can configure it with Intel's Meteor Lake CPU paired with an RTX 4070, 4080, or 4090, or go for the Ryzen Strix Point version with an RTX 4070. Now, while we initially did experience some gaming performance inconsistencies with the Intel models, ASUS addressed those issues with a recent BIOS update, which we covered in a follow-up video, so you can definitely check it out right over here. I should also mention that battery life on the AMD model is much better than the Intel model, if that's something that you're looking for. The only downside is the lack of upgradable memory, though storage expansion is possible. But yeah, it's an outstanding laptop and one of the best in its class. And now let's hear what some of our fellow creators have to say.
All right, best laptop of 2024. Well, it really depends on what you want. If you're talking about the best everyday laptop for most stuff, probably the MacBook Air 13, $799 over Cyber Monday, gives you 16 gigabytes of RAM and a very good user experience. If you don't like Mac, you can definitely go for the ASUS ZenBook S14 and S16, both solid performers with excellent battery life. If you're on a tight budget, ASUS VivoBook S15. It's using a Snapdragon X Plus processor, but for $499, you're getting a 3.2K OLED display, 120 Hz, and insane battery life. Maybe you're on a budget and you're looking for a gaming laptop. Definitely the Lenovo Lock, you just can't go wrong with it. But maybe you want something a bit more expensive, 16 inches, Lenovo Legion 7i, or ASUS Zephyrus G16. Depends if you want upgradable RAM or if you want something a bit lighter with an OLED display. So many options, but those are the few that really stick out to me when I'm thinking of the best laptop of 2024.
Hey folks, it's Alex here from Notebookcheck. A big thanks to the guys from Hardware Canucks for having me, even though it is quite the challenge to pick a favorite from all the laptops reviewed in 2024. I always say that the perfect laptop does not exist, and compromise is pretty much the name of the game when choosing a laptop these days. So my choice is very personal and also very subjective. And while I primarily use my laptops for video editing, I am also a passionate gamer and absolutely love HDR games. So these factors will heavily influence my decision here. With that out of the way, I thought long and hard about which laptop was my absolute favorite this year, and I always came back to the Razer Blade 18 and, to my personal surprise, to the ASUS ROG Strix Scar 16. I was really close to choose the Blade, since I really like its sleek appearance and the gorgeous display. But while I enjoy the 18-inch form factor, I was not quite sure if I want to daily drive it. This brings us to the Scar 16, which for me officially is my favorite laptop of 2024 and comes in a much more practical 16-inch form factor. With the i9-14900HX and the laptop RTX 4090, I am sorted in the performance department, again, no matter if it is for our video production or the latest games. The Strix is also quite well equipped when it comes to ports, and with a couple of NVMe and SODIMM slots, RAM and storage upgrades are easily doable. And then there is the screen. I always liked how ASUS handled their mini LED panels, giving you a ton of control with switchable local dimming and various color profiles. This makes it very well suited to create our videos with local dimming off and in sRGB, or enjoy the latest HDR games with up to 1200 nits of maximum brightness. So is the Scar perfect? No. Definitely not. And my biggest gripe with it is its styling and the mostly plastic body, especially if you put it side by side with Razer's offerings, for example. However, the chassis heats up a lot less under load, and I was able to look past its exterior shortcomings after a while, and was left with a well-performing notebook that delivered a simply awesome experience.
Alright, so I had a really hard time picking my favorite gaming laptop of 2024, because there were two great options that I really liked. On the one hand, there's ASUS's ROG Zephyrus G16. But then on the other hand, there's Lenovo's Legion 7i, both of which are just nice premium 16-inch gaming laptops. They're both on the thinner side compared to most others, so good portability. But the Zephyrus is actually the lightest 16-inch gaming laptop I've tested in the last couple of years. Unfortunately, the G16 is using solid memory to achieve this, so you'll probably want to consider spending more money up front to get the version with 32 gigs of RAM instead of 16 gigs, because you can can never upgrade it later. The Legion 7i is better in this aspect, as it has 2 upgradable memory slots, while only being a little thicker and heavier. The Legion's bigger size also means it has a more powerful Intel HX processor with more cores and threads, so it performs better compared to the Zephyrus. But the Zephyrus is available with either Intel Media Lake or AMD Strix Point processors, which both give it better battery life compared to the Legion. Now, the Legion 7i does have a nice screen, but the Zephyrus takes things to the next level with a stunning OLED display, which means amazing contrast with its deep blacks, insanely fast response time, no backlight bleed, and beautiful colors. So it's perfect for both gamers and creators. Honestly, it's kinda hard for me to pick a winner between the two. I'd be perfectly happy daily driving either of them. But if I had to pick, personally, I'd be leaning a bit more towards the Legion, and that's because of the upgradable memory and better performance. But I really appreciate how portable the G16 is and its OLED screen. Like I said, it's a tough choice. It all comes down to what your priorities are in a gaming laptop.
Thanks, Eva. 2024 was a big year for laptops, with many new processors released. Most of these new processors for Windows laptops were playing catch up to the efficiency of Apple's M3 series, but they never really achieved that goal. For example, battery life appeared great so long as you were sticking to playing a movie on repeat at low brightness. Look, in all seriousness, these new processors were certainly a step forward for Windows laptops. They eradicated hidden fan noise during light use, and they did increase battery life. But in November, Apple released their new M4 MacBook Pros, and that just extended their dominance. So, with that said, my award for the best laptop of 2024 is the MacBook Pro 14. This laptop, I believe, is the best choice for the broadest number of buyers. That's if you can afford it, of course. For light users or students, the M4 base model has now been fully unleashed. It gives you a healthy 16GB of starting memory, that useful third Thunderbolt port on the right side, and its M4 chip is very fast. For programmers, audio folks, engineers, and creators, the M4 Pro models are the way to go, and they have had the biggest jump in performance gen on gen. Their mix, of course, has changed, with more performance cores, and they now start with 24GB of memory. Realistically, there is no other laptop that comes close to a MacBook Pro 14 in what a laptop really should be. Portable, long battery life, high performance, and everything about it is premium. But there are some folks who love playing AAA games and just won't want a Mac. So I'm going to tie our winner with Asus's G16 with AMD. This laptop is a very premium, super light gaming laptop. Seriously, it is as light as many 14-inch gaming laptops, but it gives you a larger display. I specifically said with AMD because when this laptop was launched, I think both you and I, Eba, found that its fan noise and thermals just weren't great. That version of the laptop had an Intel processor. AMD Zen 5 chips launched later in 2024, and they were a significant improvement. And once one of those were put into this laptop, and a couple of firmware updates were done, this is now one of the coolest and quietest gaming laptops. That plus its incredible portability makes it a very special device. Josh out.
Thanks a lot, guys, for your input. It really means a lot to me. And I want to wrap this segment with the coolest laptop that I ever got my hands on. That easily goes down to the Framework 16. Look, this is all about customization and upgrades. You can swap out the GPU, add ports, or upgrade storage with ease. It's perfect for tech enthusiasts who love tinkering, or anyone looking for a laptop that truly just lasts. It's sleek, reasonably powerful, and I really appreciate the direction that Framework is taking towards sustainability. Building your own laptop to suit your preference is not just practical, it's genuinely rewarding. That said, the high upfront cost can be a hurdle, and the performance doesn't quite justify the price, especially since the current GPU and CPU are nearly 2 years old. And there are no clear roadmap for updates from Framework. So if you're curious about trying out this platform, I would encourage you to check out the Framework Laptop 13. It's a more affordable option and it's a solid starting point. So those are my top picks for 2024. Let us know if you guys agree or disagree in the comments. I'd like to keep this a healthy discussion piece. And I do want to end on one final note, and that is, as we transition from 2024 to 2025, we're expecting to see a lot of new design, new announcements, probably around CES from NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD. And while it is exciting, I do have to say that if you're still in need for a gaming laptop or just a laptop in general, now is a good time to buy one because there are ongoing sales, and if you do your due diligence in terms of pricing without overpaying, you can find a really good laptop for a really good deal that's probably going to set you to last for quite some time. based on your workflow. So yeah, do your research, don't overpay, and spend responsibly.